It sent the internet into a spin. A Polish businessman who snatched a signed cap from a young tennis fan has finally apologised. And though the exchange only lasted for a split second at the US Open, it's turned into a major headache for the millionaire days after it was all caught on camera.
A millionaire CEO in a sharp-tailored suit, a world-class tennis star handing out gifts. Sounds picture perfect, right? Now hit pause because what should have been a wholesome US Open moment exploded into one of the messiest scandals the sport has ever seen. Polish executive Eric wasn't just clapping from the stands. He snatched a hat right out of a kid's hands on live TV. Viewers watched in shock as he stuffed it into his bag like it was stolen merchandise, then strutted off with a smug grin like he owned the place. Instead of doing the decent thing and apologizing, this CEO made it worse. Way worse. He came back with one of the cockiest, most arrogant responses possible, brushing off the outrage as if he was untouchable. Imagine that. A child expecting the memory of a lifetime, walking away with nothing but tears while a grown man paraded around like the prize was his all along. That shocking clip spread like wildfire, racking up millions of views in just hours. Fans demanded answers, and the pressure was so intense that even Camille Bar's Shrek, the player at the center of the gift-giving, was forced to step in. That wasn't for him, Shrek said bluntly, before tracking down the young fan and personally handing over another hat to make things right. For a second, it looked like a happy ending.
Polish millionaire is speaking out today after facing backlash for stealing a hat from a child at the US Open this week, and it wasn't to apologize.
But not everyone wanted it to end. Pietro wasn't ready to disappear quietly. No, he went full corporate playbook, deny, deflect, and even threaten. That single arrogant move flipped the script completely, turning a dumb viral clip into an international PR nightmare. Here's the thing, when you're caught on camera, you can't rewrite reality. Millions saw it, kids saw it, the entire internet saw it, and yet, unbelievably, this CEO acted like he could twist the truth into some neat little boardroom fairy tale. I was there first, so I deserved it. That's the excuse Piotrek Erek leaned on, but the internet wasn't buying it for a second. While he tried to justify himself, the court of public opinion was already moving faster than a tennis serve. Memes had him cast as a cartoon villain, TikTokers stitched the clip with Curb Your Enthusiasm music, and Reddit was flooded with disbelief. How could a millionaire snatch joy straight out of a child's hands in front of millions? This wasn't just a clumsy mistake, it became a cultural test of morals. Sports fans who normally bicker over foul balls and stray pucks instantly drew the line in the sand. Sure, those things are fair game, but when an athlete personally hands a gift to a kid, that's sacred. And didn't just cross that line, he bulldozed right over it, leaving the internet to decide he deserved every ounce of backlash coming his way. The tragic irony? If he had just shut his mouth, the whole thing might have been forgotten in a week. But CEOs like Eric almost never stay silent. Instead, he made the worst move possible. He doubled down. Rather than admit, yeah, maybe stealing from a kid was a bad look, he tried to crown himself philosopher king, posting under his name with a defense that was dripping with arrogance. His argument?
Well, the tennis player did ask for the kid to be found. The kid was found, and as I understand it, he brought the kid in and made the kid whole. That was a grown man in the stand stealing that hat from a child.
That the outrage was overblown. Just a disproportionate storm. His reasoning? First come, first served. That's right. He tried to spin a child's heartbreak into a business lecture about hustle. If the kid was faster, he argued, then he'd have the hat. Imagine turning playground rules into Wall Street ethics. It was cold, it was smug, and the internet wasn't having it. Because here's the reality. This wasn't some baseball or hockey puck flying into the crowd at random. Everybody knows those are up for grabs. No, this was different. The cap was being handed directly to a kid, and the second Piotrek stuffed it into his bag like it was a corporate bonus, he crossed a line that fans weren't willing to forgive. And oh, did the internet clap back? His paving company's Google reviews were swarmed in what can only be described as meme warfare. Thousands of one-star bombs rolled in, written in broken Polish, emojis, and pure sarcasm. People mockingly crowned him CEO of theft. Others left biting reviews like, thanks for stealing joy from children. Screenshots of these reviews went viral on their own, turning into TikToks, Twitter threads, and YouTube shorts. Everyone wanted a piece of the roast. To make matters even worse, Camille Bar's Shrek jumped back into the story and completely upstaged him again. The tennis star didn't just quietly replace the hat this time, he went public with it, posing for photos, photos, shaking hands with the young fan and proving he cared about the kid far more than the corporate suit did. The internet saw it as humanity restored one autograph at a time, and by comparison, Eric looked even colder, greedier, and more out of touch than ever. When the athlete who sparked the moment becomes the hero, the guy who hijacked it is instantly cast as the villain, and Piotrek Eric fit the role perfectly. This should have been the point where he vanished into the shadows, log off, hide in the boardroom, wait for the storm to pass, but nope. CEOs like him aren't built for silence. And instead of letting the chaos cool down, he chose the one path guaranteed to pour gasoline on the fire.
The CEO of a Polish company has come out with an apology after a video went viral.
Of course, yes, I took it. Yes, I did it quickly, but as I've always said, life is first come, first served. I understand that some people might not like it, but please, let's not make a global scandal out of the hat. It's just a hat. If you were faster, you would have it.
He threatened to bring in the lawyers. That's when everything shifted from cringe to catastrophic. Up until then, people were laughing, roasting, and memeing. But the second legal threats entered the picture, the jokes stopped, and the digging began. And the deeper fans dug, the more absurd this scandal looked. Piotrek had officially transformed a dumb viral embarrassment into a full-blown circus. See, instead of letting the internet meme him into irrelevance, he went nuclear. His next move wasn't an apology, and it wasn't silence. It was a legal warning. In a post dripping with arrogance, he reminded everyone that in Poland, insulting a public figure could be considered a liability. Translation? Call him a hat thief online and you could end up in court. He literally warned that offensive insinuations would be examined and maybe even prosecuted. Imagine that. The same man caught on camera stealing from a kid now threatening the world. Joke about it and I'll sue you. And here's the kicker, he wasn't bluffing. According to multiple viral Polish posts, an attorney allegedly tied to him even sent out a demand letter that looked like it had been typed up with Comic Sans levels of arrogance. It spelled out terms like some corporate ransom note. Delete your comments within 3 days, pay compensation within 7, or else face legal action. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, this was the CEO trying to strong-arm the entire internet into silence. The moment Piotrek Eric brought lawyers into the mess, he crossed into a whole new battlefield. Because if there's one thing the internet loves more than mocking arrogance, it's mocking arrogance wrapped in legal threats. What should have been a week-long meme suddenly morphed into an international saga, with millions of people watching to see if the CEO would really try to sue the entire internet for calling him what the world saw with their own eyes, a hat thief. And here's the wild part. Those legal warnings didn't scare anyone. They did the opposite. They emboldened people. Screenshots of the so-called demand letters spread faster than the original clip itself, with users joking, "Delete in 3 days?" Bro, I just screenshotted it for life. TikTok creators even turned the warning into skits, pretending to be Polish lawyers typing up lawsuits against random commenters while wearing dollar store wigs and fake mustaches. One viral parody racked up 500,000 views overnight with the punchline, "You are hereby ordered to return the child's joy in triplicate." Reddit threads exploded with new theories and jokes. People began combing through Piotrek's past interviews, company press releases, even old vacation photos, hunting for inconsistencies they could use against him. That digging unearthed a treasure trove of embarrassing tidbits. Nothing illegal, but enough to paint a picture of a man obsessed with status symbols, always flaunting luxury while preaching humility in boardroom speeches. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just CEO steals hat. It became CEO steals hat, CEO flexes wealth, CEO threatens kids online. And the memes. Oh, the memes only got nastier. People photoshopped his face onto famous villains. Voldemort holding a tennis cap, Scar from The Lion King pushing Simba off the cliff but clutching a kid's hat. Even Thanos snapping his fingers while hats disappeared from children's heads. Each meme landed harder than the last, and each one spread across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and even LinkedIn, where corporate professionals ironically reshared the story as a case study in brand failure. Imagine that. Your humiliation getting turned into a PowerPoint slide in business schools across the world. But the true internet retaliation came in the form of reviews. The Google page for his paving company turned into a digital battlefield. What started as sarcastic one-star comments turned into a coordinated wave of review bombing. Thousands of people across the globe left comments in broken Polish, sometimes generated by online translators filled with laughing emojis and clown icons. Some were short and sharp, best service for stealing happiness. Others were long parodies written like fairy tales. Once upon a time, there was a greedy CEO who stole hats from children, and his kingdom fell into ruin. These reviews weren't just funny, they were brutal, and they made sure anyone Googling his business saw the scandal first, not his services. And here's where Piotrek really underestimated the internet. He thought people would be scared of lawyers, but in reality, people started begging to be sued. Users proudly posted things like, "I called him the hat thief of Warsaw, waiting for my subpoena." Others jokingly wrote, "Can't wait to tell the judge how he stuffed a cap in his bag like a burrito." By threatening legal action, Piotrek turned trolls into martyrs, each daring him to follow through. And the more he threatened, the more people piled on, because let's face it, the idea of a millionaire CEO suing random teenagers over memes was just too ridiculous to ignore. The story even broke out of tennis circles and landed in mainstream pop culture. Late-night hosts picked it up, comedians roasted him in stand-up routines, and YouTubers produced full documentaries about the Great Hat Heist. One creator pieced together a 40-minute timeline complete with dramatic reenactments and slow-motion replays of the moment he stuffed the hat into his bag, set to ominous music. That video alone cleared 2 million views in less than a week. And if you thought the athlete who started it all, Camille Barr's Shrek, was staying quiet, think again. He kept leaning into his role as the hero, posting another update with the young fan, this time surprising the boy with signed gear and even free tickets for the next tournament. The post went viral instantly with comments like, "This is how you handle things like a champion?" Side by side, the contrast couldn't have been more brutal. One man giving, one man taking, one man earning respect, the other drowning in mockery. At this point, the scandal wasn't just about a hat anymore. It had evolved into a global referendum on arrogance, greed, and entitlement. Journalists in Poland reported on it with embarrassment, framing it as a cultural black eye for the country's elite class. International outlets treated it like a case study in what not to do as a CEO. And meanwhile, fans kept the pressure on, turning his name into a trending hashtag that trailed him like a digital scarlet letter. The most savage blow came when Polish internet users unearthed a clip from a past business conference where Piotrek himself had preached about ethics in leadership. In the video, he spoke passionately about how leaders must set examples, always acting with integrity and never prioritizing personal gain over fairness. The irony was so thick it practically choked the internet. That clip resurfaced side by side with the viral footage of him stealing the kid's hat, captioned, "Integrity sponsored by theft." Every new attempt by his team to push back only made things worse. When one PR rep tried to downplay it as a misunderstanding, Twitter lit up with parody explanations. "Yes, officer, it was a misunderstanding. He thought the child's head was a storage unit." When another insider claimed the CEO didn't even want the hat, people mocked, "Then why did he shove it in his bag like it was gold?" The spin wasn't working. It only fueled more memes, more threads, more headlines. And here's the part that really sealed the disaster. Brands started distancing themselves. Rumors swirled that at least one sponsor of his company quietly paused their partnership. Other executives reportedly grumbled about his behavior damaging their industry's image. Suddenly, this wasn't just about public embarrassment, it was about business consequences. His arrogance had turned a silly clip into a reputational crisis with financial fallout. Yet through it all, Piotrek didn't back down. He kept trying to defend himself, leaning on the same tired line, "First come, first served." But by now, nobody cared about his logic. Nobody cared about his excuses. The internet had decided he wasn't just a man in a suit, he was the villain of the US Open. A villain who had written his own downfall in real time. And the irony? If he had stayed quiet, if he had just melted away into the background, this would have been a 48-hour scandal, forgotten by the next viral clip. But thanks to his arrogance, his threats, and his absolute refusal to back down, he turned himself into a cautionary tale. A walking reminder that once the internet locks onto your mistake, you can't spin reality into your version of events. The footage doesn't lie, and neither do millions of memes. By the end of week 2, the question wasn't whether people would forgive him, it was whether he'd ever recover at all. By the 3rd week of the scandal, Eric wasn't just a meme, he was a liability. What began as a viral clip of a stolen hat had spiraled so far out of control that it started threatening the one thing he cared about most, his empire. Because when you're a CEO, perception is profit, and his image was now radioactive. At first, his company tried to downplay it. A short press note dismissed the whole fiasco as internet exaggeration. But investors weren't laughing. Numbers don't lie, and within days, reports claimed stock values tied to his ventures dipped just enough to rattle shareholders. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a meme storm, it was about money leaving the table. And in the corporate world, nothing makes a man sweat like red ink on the balance sheet. Clients too began to peel away. Whispers circulated that at least 2 local partners quietly froze projects, not wanting their brands associated with the hat thief CEO. One sponsor reportedly hit pause on a multi-million-dollar collaboration, citing reputational concerns. That's the nightmare scenario for any executive. You're not just mocked online, you're costing people money. And when that happens, your allies vanish quick. Meanwhile, the internet kept grinding him down. The Google reviews of his paving business didn't stop. They multiplied. Thousands more piled in, drowning out real customers with joke after joke, each one more savage than the last. And because Google reviews often appear first in search results, anyone looking up his company saw clown emojis, 1-star rants, and memes about executive shoplifting. For a man obsessed with appearances, this was brand homicide in broad daylight. The media circus only made it worse. Headlines shifted from lighthearted coverage of a viral clip to full-blown think pieces on corporate arrogance. Business reporters compared his handling of the fiasco to textbook crisis management failures, painting him as a case study in what not to do. Polish outlets called it embarrassing for the nation's business elite, while international platforms labeled him the man who sued the internet and lost. And through it all, Camille Barszczak kept unintentionally twisting the knife. Every time the tennis star posted another wholesome update with the young fan, signing merchandise, inviting him courtside, the contrast grew sharper. One man stood tall as the symbol of sportsmanship, the other drowned as the symbol of greed. The more Shrek gave, the worse Piotrek looked. By this point, even his own employees weren't sure what to say. Anonymous posts on workplace forums claimed morale had cratered, with staff embarrassed to admit where they worked. Imagine that. The scandal so viral, your employees don't even want to name drop their employer. For a CEO who once bragged about prestige and reputation, this was the ultimate humiliation. And yet Piotrek didn't blink. No apology, no humility, just more arrogance. He still clung to his defense, still insisting he did nothing wrong, but the internet had already decided his fate. He wasn't just the man who stole a hat, he was the millionaire who stole his own reputation, and this time no lawyer could win it back. $27,000 in moral harm and image losses. That was the number Piotrek Eric demanded, as if random internet trolls had destroyed his reputation, not the fact that he was caught on live TV stealing from a kid. And you can already imagine the internet's response. People howled with laughter. Screenshots of the letter flooded timelines and turned into instant memes. American fans joked, "Relax, we're safe." In the US, the only thing you get sued for at a ball game is throwing your beer at the wrong player. Even Polish commenters couldn't believe it. One viral translation summed it up with brutal honesty. He stole a hat from a child, then stole our time with this nonsense. And while Piotrek doubled down with lawsuits, Camille Barszczak kept rising higher as the hero of the story. Every photo of the smiling boy with his brand new hat was like another nail hammered into the CEO's coffin. The contrast was undeniable. Shrek became the folk hero, while Eric cemented himself as the villain no one respected. And here's the kicker. The scandal wasn't fading. It was mutating into something bigger, a global conversation about how out-of-touch elites behave when their bad behavior gets exposed. Because let's be real, if Piotrek had just shut up, the clip would have died like every other viral meme. But when you start demanding 27 grand from strangers for roasting you online, you don't end the scandal. You extend it another month. And the internet has patience. They'll drag you forever if you keep giving them fuel. By now, the narrative wasn't just about one greedy CEO, it was about a pattern. Powerful people thinking they can treat the internet like a boardroom, throwing around intimidation tactics, expecting silence. But every single time, the internet proves them wrong. Piotrek wasn't just the man who swiped a kid's hat anymore. He was the new punching bag of the entire online world. And worse, every desperate move he made only gave fans fresh ammo. The lawsuit threats didn't scare anyone, they supercharged the backlash. Within days, parody accounts popped up mocking his first come, first served excuse. One viral meme showed him sprinting against toddlers to grab ice cream cones. Another had him boxing out a grandma for the last slice of pizza at a family dinner. The more absurd the jokes got, the more viral they became. Piotrek thought he was controlling the narrative, but in reality, he had transformed himself into a living, breathing punchline. And the memes were only half the attack. His company's reviews reached critical mass. What should have been straightforward listings about asphalt services turned into comedy graveyards. People left sarcastic reviews like 5 stars for stealing my childhood dreams, or great at laying concrete, better at snatching hats. International users who had never set foot in Poland joined in, just to be part of the fun. His brand wasn't dented, it was demolished in real time. Then the media picked up on it. Polish outlets ran scathing headlines about the bizarre escalation, embarrassed that one of their business elites had turned himself into a clown on the world stage. International coverage followed suit, with tabloids framing him as the CEO who tried to sue memes. What started as a goofy clip of arrogance at a tennis match was now a global PR disaster dissected by journalists, comedians, and business analysts alike. For Piotrek, the humiliation was complete. Instead of protecting his image, his demand for $27,000 had turned him into an international laughingstock. Proof that the fastest way to lose everything online is to try and fight the internet itself. International sports blogs ran with it, calling the saga a morality play. A child, a hero athlete, and a greedy CEO who refused to back down. Even late-night hosts in the US joined the roast, cracking jokes that turned the scandal into pure entertainment. The cruel irony? Piotrek Eric had every single tool to fix this mess. A quiet statement, a donation to a kid's charity, even a staged handshake photo with the young fan could have flipped the story instantly, but instead he chose arrogance. And in the age of internet scandals, arrogance is rocket fuel. Every smug post, every laughable legal threat, every tone-deaf excuse only proved what people already suspected. He wasn't sorry and he didn't get it. By now, the kid had his hat, Camille Barr's Shrek was basking in praise, and Piotrek was stranded as the villain of a viral saga that just wouldn't end. Because here's the truth. Once you become a meme, you don't decide when it's over. The internet does. And the internet had already made its choice. Piotrek would be remembered forever, not as a CEO, but as the man who stole from a child on live TV and then tried to sue his way out of it. When the dust finally settled, Eric had lost way more than a hat. He had lost his reputation. What began as a goofy viral clip about bad manners spiraled into a worldwide reminder of how quickly arrogance can nuke an image. The fallout was everywhere. His company's online ratings tanked, his name became shorthand for corporate greed, and his attempt to scare critics with lawsuits backfired so badly that even casual fans who had never watched a tennis match were now laughing at his downfall. This scandal wasn't about a cap anymore. It became a story about power, about how CEOs who are used to controlling boardrooms crumble the second they face an internet mob that doesn't play by their rules. Fans summed it up with brutal simplicity. If you can't handle being clowned online, don't steal from kids on live TV. Industry voices weren't kinder. PR experts tore apart his every move, pointing out that he broke the 2 golden rules of crisis management. Rule number 1, don't escalate. Rule number 2, don't make yourself the story. And yet Piotrek did both, guaranteeing the clip's half-life stretched from hours into months. Meanwhile, Camille Barr's Shrek didn't need legal letters or crisis managers, just kindness. A simple handshake, a smile, and a photo with the young fan cemented him as the hero. In the narrative war, the athlete walked away with honor, the CEO walked away with infamy, and the bigger cultural takeaway? It's almost too predictable. Every time a powerful figure gets exposed in public, they think their wealth or their lawyers will protect them. They treat the internet like shareholders, expecting obedience. But every time, the opposite happens. The Streisand effect kicks in, memes spread further, and the once untouchable executive becomes immortalized as a global punchline. That's exactly what happened to Piotrek. His legacy won't be paving roads, it'll be memes, hashtags, and one unforgettable viral clip of a CEO stuffing a child's hat into his bag like loot. It wasn't just a scandal, it became a symbol. Entitlement versus innocence. Arrogance versus generosity. And in the internet era, generosity always wins. Piotrek wanted silence. Instead, he guaranteed he'll never be forgotten. And if you thought this story was wild, buckle up, because the next viral meltdown is already loading. If one millionaire CEO can wreck his empire over a hat, imagine what happens when the next exec gets caught red-handed. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment below. And I'll see you on the next one.